Hello again on behalf of the Mindalia TV team. Welcome to Mindalia live streaming. Today, Juliana Klinkert is joining us, and the space that we are about to start has been named, or we gave it the name, How Can I Stop My Brain from Running All the Time? Juliana Klinkert is a meditation instructor and life coach. It is my great pleasure to leave you with her. Juliana, welcome once again to Mindalia. The screen is all yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much to Mindalia for having me, for providing this space. It's always an honor to be with each of you. And today we are bringing up this topic that it's so common for all of us. Since the moment that we open up our eyes, our brain is running non-stop, and maybe also in our dreams. So that's always our big question. What can I do when my brain is running all of the time? How can I stop my brain from this mental train of thoughts that goes over and over and it seems unstoppable? How can I use meditation for these things? And before to enter in what to do, I would like always to take this moment to also talk a little bit about the real meaning of what meditation is. Because nowadays this word seems that it became a famous word. And sometimes we don't really know if we are getting the deep meaning of what meditation is. So when we talk about meditation, we are talking about how can I train my mind in my daily life to feel better, to feel calmer, to feel that I have more space to digest all the information that I am receiving. So meditation is not to be sitting down in a lotus position, in a quiet place, in a corner where no one can disturb me. Actually, it's very easy to be in silence when we are in a quiet place. So the idea is not to learn how to be in silence when we are in a quiet place. The idea is to learn how to quiet our mind in the midst of the craziness, because we don't live in a room with no noise. We live in a world with a lot of challenges. So the idea is that is the place where we learn how to meditate. But we cannot do this just by ourselves. Somebody needs to teach to us how to deal with this craziness in a quiet way. And this is why it's so important to first get the meaning. So then when we have the meaning, we know what to do. My teachers always used to say to me, Juliana, look at this very simple example. If you have a bird with just one wing, the bird is not going to be able to fly. The bird needs two wings in order to be able to fly. And if we bring up through this example, what are the meaning, or what is the meaning of the two wings? One is the knowledge. So we know what do we need to do in order to have a quiet mind in the middle of the chaos. And the other wing is the practice. And in that way, we have the two wings. If we only have the wing of the knowledge, we become a great academic person. We develop a lot of intelligence. But just with intelligence, if we don't use it, if we don't practice, we are unable to fly. We will be like this bird that only has one wing. And if we only practice, but we have no knowledge at all, we will not advance. We will not move forward in our practice. we will remain stuck in the same place. So we always want to have the two wings. And when we come together today in this life, let's say we are practicing the wing of the knowledge. We are practicing this moment where we learn what do we need to do in the middle of the stress in order to quiet our mind. And through these words, I haven't even mentioned the word meditation. And this is so important to really understand, because we cannot get trapped in a fashion word. We need to really deeply understand the meaning before to start talking. So to quiet the mind in the middle of the stress, we need first someone that help us to allow us to feel how does, and I'm going to say this word again, how does it feels, the sensation of calmness, the sensation of being quiet inside of us. When our mind is running all of the time, we are missing up a lot of what this life is about. This life is not only about aging, about getting sick. This life is about all the experiences that we live, the emotions, the challenges, the happy moments, the not so happy moments. All those experiences are what make us be alive. So we need to learn how to enjoy again those experiences. But because we are going so fast inside our mind, we just jump from one experience to the other without really even realizing that something amazing just happened. Just the capacity to be able to open the eyes is an amazing gift. But we make it up so normal because it's just something that I have to do. The capacity to eat, to take a shower, to be connected in this life today. All those experiences are amazing. But because we are all the time ahead of the time, we totally miss the experience of being alive. And then what happens when we start acting in this way is that all the stress levels go so high that all our body is full of cortisol. So we are just like done with all the stress that we have. So we need to exchange this stress by some serotonin, by some calmness, by some well-being sensation. And this is very important, that it's a feeling. When we meditate, we want to go directly into the feeling. We don't want to bring up more thoughts to our brain. We are already too much tired of thinking. We are already too much tired of making effort, even of making challenges that promise us that we will feel better after we finish this. And all these things are just bringing us in the direction of pushing us more to think that there is something to do. And in order to feel better, in order to quiet the mind, actually what we want to do is not to have more thoughts, is to feel. How does it feel, the sensation of well-being? We don't want to keep thinking, how am I going to feel better? We don't have to bring up positive thoughts to ourselves. We are already like full of thoughts. Now we need to exchange all those thoughts for the sensation. And the sensation comes up when we gather with people who are in this calm frequency, in this quiet frequency. So when we are together here in this life today, we are like suddenly having a little bit more space to think, because I am not speaking totally fast. I am not bringing one word immediately after the other. And this gives a space immediately in your brain. So we kind of expand the capacity of the brain. So meeting with people who are more quiet immediately help us to be in this frequency of a sensation of calmness. But also, we can do activities that help us to be connected to this sensation of calmness. And also, we need to gather with people who push ourselves to do this. So we are going to do a very simple practice that we can do anytime, anywhere. We are not going to close our eyes. We are not going to remain in silence. We are not going to do any deep breaths. We are just going to do something that will bring our mind to remain fresh and capable to have a minute or less than a minute, a second of calmness. Because it's better to have a second of fresh mind than 20 minutes of a brain that is running all of the time when we are by ourselves. So let's imagine that we are in the line of a supermarket. Now with COVID, it's very easy that when we reach or when we arrive to the grocery store, we have a line before to enter, because maybe the grocery store is full of the capacity that the grocery store receives. So we are in the line. We can choose if we are going to be in our phone, texting, or in the social media, checking up what was the last post that this or that person did. Or we can choose 1 second in the line to just look up to the sky and see the blue sky. Actually, it doesn't really matter if the sky is blue or not. But when we see the sky, we can imagine and we can feel that all the blue sky, all the clarity of this vast sky is coming inside of us, and we are just being filled like we are receiving a shower of this blue sky. And when we exhale, we feel immediately that every single cell of our body is as blue, as expanded as the sky. And then we go back to our phone, or we look at the person in front of us. And when we enter the grocery store, suddenly we remember again this blue sky. And we breathe in all this clarity of the blue sky. And we really feel, remember, it's about feeling. We need to exchange the thoughts for a sensation, the thoughts for this feeling, for this vastness of the blue sky. We don't want to bring a new thought into our brain. Our brain is already running all the time. Our brain is like producing thoughts without even asking the brain to produce thoughts, because this is the job of the brain. All the time, the brain needs to come up with some thoughts. Then it's our choice what to do with all these thoughts. We go directly and jump into the thoughts, because every time a thought arises, if we continue thinking about whatever our mind is telling us, we end up trapped in a full story. So we can choose that direction. If we choose this direction, the only result that we will be having is more thoughts. So we are not here today in this event, in this life, to choose that direction. We are in this life to choose the direction of allowing the brain to do his job or her job. It doesn't really matter. Whatever the brain produces as thoughts, they are welcome. We don't even need to do anything with them, because many times we don't even have to think about something particularly for the thought to arise. We may be doing whatever and boom, the brain come up with a story that we are like, what? Where did this thought came from? I didn't even like remember this story. I was not even thinking about it. So you see, this is the brain. The brain is just like that. It brings up thoughts and okay, they are welcome. Then our choice in this human experience is to decide to bring up that thought to a good sensation, to a sensation of expansion. And in this program of today, we are using the Skype, but you can come up with any other metaphor that gives to you the same idea of the sensation that you are expanded, that you are clear, and that you are feeling vast. Maybe you can choose the horizon in the ocean. Maybe you can choose, I don't know, a flat line on a building, or maybe you can, whatever. It doesn't really matter. At this point, what we want is to offer to ourselves this sensation of expansion. So I'm going to stick into the sky as an option for you to practice. And whenever the thought arises, then we come back. Remember, we want the brain to have the experience fresh, fast, and deep. We don't want to repeat many times, because at the moment we start repeating, we start thinking. And we don't want to enter in that sense, in that idea. We want to enter in the sensation. So many seconds of the day, exchange the thought by a sensation. Let's say you already finished the grocery shopping and you are in front of the cashier, and she or he is like passing up all your grocery, and suddenly the person committed a mistake and you start like getting anxious about this mistake. Instead of following this situation that just arrived, what if you give 1 second of the sensation of expansion, just to feel as the sky? This is what we want. We don't want to enter into more thoughts. And many times, and especially in this side of the world, we want to come up with a lot of intellectual concepts on how do we need to do the things. We want to come up with lists of things to do. And we sometimes even think that if it sounds complicated, maybe that's the way. And none of those of the things that are happening in our life, when it's simple, is better for our brain. We were not born complicated. We were born simply to have an experience in this life. So this is what we really want to start gaining from this idea that I am offering to you. And we are going to pass to a moment of questions. We are going to spend a little bit of time together where I can hear or read you. And I will be so happy to share whatever I can with you. And if I cannot, then we will experience in another time how to resolve that situation. So whenever it comes a time to share together, it's always like an amazing moment to just don't do everything here by myself, because life is not about just one person. It's not about how Juliana says that the things need to be done. It's more about how each of us push ourselves in the direction of finding the sensation of well-being, finding the sensation of expansion, finding the sensation of clarity. Because remember, if it's complicated, that's not the way. You can make it complicated if you want. That's your choice. But you have to ask to yourself, after making it very complicated or very intellectual, am I feeling better? Are all these thoughts making me more quiet person? Are all these lists making me be more present to each of the experiences that the life is bringing to me? If the answer is yes, please continue through that route. But don't be like, don't tell lies to yourself. Because when we are in this mind training, we are the ones who need to be always checking up on ourselves. It doesn't really matter if the people around you or in your social media, suddenly people start telling you or writing to you, wow, you are amazing. How did you do this? And you are this great and such person. Actually, don't get trapped in what people say, or don't say about your life or your experiences in this life, because at the end of the day, the experience is coming up from yourself. And it's not that we are suddenly going to become this individualistic person that we don't care about who is around us. Don't take me wrong. It's that the only person who can be really truthful to yourself is yourself. The only person who can really answer to the question, am I feeling better, truly better, is yourself. If you ask this question in social media, do you think I'm feeling better? You will get tons probably of answers, but none of those answers will be the one that is coming from your truth. So this is why in many traditions we say the teacher comes from within, but you cannot walk this path alone. Because when we walk this path alone, it's very easy to be trapped in what other people say or don't say about us or about our actions. And when we are looking too much about the world outside, when we are trying to listen to many people, we don't gain stability. Our mind just become like too unstable. And when our mind is not stable, we don't gain trust. And in order to have stability, we need trust. And in order to gain that trust, we need to be truthful with answering the questions inside of us without any lies. And that's why you also need always this knowledge. Because when you gain this knowledge, then you know if you are telling lies to yourself or not. You know if the path that you are walking is the path of chasing all those train of thoughts, or you are really deeply bringing all those thoughts to the sensation of expansion. And it's not because we bring our thoughts to have the sensation of expansion that the thoughts are suddenly going to disappear. That doesn't mean meditation. Because as we were talking a few seconds ago, when we know what is the job of the brain, we understand that the job of the brain is to think. So how are we going suddenly to have no more thoughts? It's like we have no more brain. So we have no more life experiences. So these things are always going to be together. Thoughts are always going to be there with us, and they are going to be always our best teachers. But we are always going to have the possibility to invite those thoughts to gain expansion. Because when we gain expansion, when we gain the sensation of well-being, of clarity, suddenly we think less, suddenly we reduce the cortisol, and suddenly we find solutions more simple. Because we have to think less. And you always can check up on yourself. Am I making the life more complicated? If I am making the life more complicated, then you have to immediately correct yourself. And this is why you need to become your best teacher. And you have to correct yourself every second, every experience that you live in your life. It's not because suddenly we had this knowledge that immediately we are going to incorporate this knowledge in our 100% of the times that we live. Sometimes we may forget to offer to ourselves this sensation of well-being. But in the next experience, maybe we remind ourselves. So we need a lot of flexibility in order to gain this stable mind, in order to stop chasing the train of thoughts. We need to be flexible with ourselves. And this is the way that we also learn to be kind to ourselves. Because if we were not able to stop chasing the train of thoughts in this moment, we cannot be angry with ourselves because we were unable to do those things. And that's what flexibility means. To be able to say, I was not able to do it this time, but I have a goal. My goal is very clear. Every single experience that I have in the life, I'm going to offer to myself the sensation of expansion, the sensation of clarity. And if I forget, I will remember in the next one. This is why goal, always keep the goal in mind. Because when you keep the goal in mind, it doesn't matter if you fail, if you want to call it fail, it doesn't matter if you were unable to do it in that particular experience, because you know that you will be correcting yourself in the next experience. And the more you bring yourself to the sensation of clarity, to the sensation of expansion, the more you are going to live a simple life. And simple doesn't mean that I'm not going to care anymore about the other people around us, or that I will be not taking a shower every day. Those are not things that symbolize a simple life. A simple life means, am I taking decisions faster? Am I thinking less? And am I choosing all the time to expand my brain in order to feel quiet, expanded, and calm? And okay, these are just like very superficial ways of starting to train our mind. And we have to start with the simple things. And when you become very well versed, if we can say like this, in bringing up these experiences to your life, you will open up to deeper levels of understanding. You will be able to bring these sensations of calmness also to your sleeping moment. You will be able to bring these sensations to the moment that you have a challenge with your spouse, or with your kids, or with someone at work, or with someone in your family. But always we have to start by the essential. And the essential is inside of us. We cannot change the world if we don't start to feel, how does it feel? The sensation of expansion inside of us. And in order to continue this training, you have to probably listen to this live more than one time. Trust me, I have just one book with me that I read 1 year. I have only one course of one teacher that I listened to during 1 year. I don't change book. I don't change teaching until I incorporate the teaching fully in my life. Because spirituality cannot be a fast food. Spirituality is not like going to any place where they are going to give us a food that we can eat in 2 seconds and that's it. No. We really need to take serious these teachings, because nowadays spirituality is everywhere, and everyone who can probably go in a 1-hour meditation training, probably they will call themselves meditation teachers. So we really need to be aware that it's not about doing one thing, one time, 1 second, and that's it. No, it's about how am I really incorporating this teaching in my daily life. And at the moment that you feel that everything that you learn today, it's part of your life, you are starting to become a good practitioner. You are starting to become a teacher So don't take all these teachings very lightly. Take them seriously. At least bring one of these things to your daily life. And like that, you can start checking up every day. And like this, we can check up on all of us together. I'm always happy to listen to you, to have your questions, and this is the moment that we will be doing that. So Mirna will tell us how will we go at this moment. Thank you so much, Mirna. Thank you so much, Mindalia.
Thank you, Juliana, for sharing with us your information, your teachings, all that practice that you've been doing for years. It's our pleasure to hear you, as always. We have interactions in the chat. One of them is Poliana. She says, amazing. I was never able to meditate properly, but this exercise seems really, really easy to do. For some people, meditating is easy. For some people, it's really hard. But what I really wanted to ask you is, according to your experience in everyone that you have seen, what is that one thing that tends to be harder to do when we are in the training of our mind?
The hardest thing is ourselves. The hardest thing is that we are not decisive. We think that only the people who live up in the caves in the Himalayas can do this. And it's not like that. We need to go out of our own way. We need to go out of our own thoughts and really be decisive. This is my goal, and this is what I am going to do every single day. It's not complicated. We are the ones who complicate it. So the most difficult thing is our own self.
That's interesting. It seems that once I've heard that the enemy is within your ears. And this, the benefits of meditation, is that for every lifestyle, like regardless of where you're coming from, what your background is, and what your daily habits are, can we all take advantage, if properly trained, to the benefits of the meditation practice?
Of course. And this is a very, very important words that the person says, and is if we are properly guided. Meditation is not a mathematical formula. Meditation is how do I train my mind to feel good at every second of our life. And who doesn't want to feel better? Who doesn't want to feel quiet and calm? So of course, we all need to train our mind. And there are many ways to train the mind. Choose the one that feels connected to you. But always choose that whatever you are doing keeps your mind fresh and joyful. Don't bring yourself too much like I need to do it like this because this person say I have to do it like this. You are only gaining like stiffness. The mind doesn't get trained when it's stiff. The mind gets trained when it's flexible. So it's better quick. It's better to keep the freshness than to remain for a period of time like, I don't know, I need to be serious. It's not about being serious. It's about feeling good. So yes, everybody, I don't say has to do this, but everybody has the capacity and the opportunity to choose to do this.
Thank you. I wanted also to ask you about the role of nutrition with the meditation practice. Is it necessarily related to a healthy nutrition, or what's the role that nutrition plays here?
I love this question because all these questions are always coming from what we heard from somebody that says something that it has to be like this. It doesn't need to be in one way or the other. Actually, when our mind is calm, all the food that we intake, it's received fully in our body. But when we eat stress, we can eat the most amazing organic and superfood that it's out there in the market. We are not going to receive absolutely no nutrition from that food, because we are just under too much stress that there is nothing that the body can intake. So the best nutrition first is to quiet the mind, and then eat whatever you want with that quiet mind, not going into the extreme of I don't care and I can eat all the hamburgers, because then your cholesterol will go high. So always the middle way. Nutrition is good when the nutrition of your mind is good. Both go together. And again, the body is not a mathematical formula. So for some people, it's better to eat in one way, and for the others in another way. But one thing is clear: quiet mind before taking the organic, most amazing superfood.
Thank you. That's definitely very valuable. As we reach the end of our conversation, Juliana, what are your closing thoughts?
I think, and I think I say, and to don't think, I think. The closing talks are more important is please offer to yourself the sensation of well-being. Don't listen too much to the people outside. Listen to yourself first. Become your own teacher. Investigate yourself first before asking to everybody, how do you think I'm feeling? I think the person can reply whatever from their own projection. Ask to yourself that, and always keep the goal. I am going to offer to myself today the most amazing amount of seconds of well-being sensations. If during the 24 hours I can offer to myself 24 seconds of a sky sensation, great.
Thank you again. And thank you for the people that was with us today. We just want to remind you before we leave that we are Mindalia.com. We are an international nonprofit organization. You can help us just by liking our videos, leaving us a positive comment. You can subscribe to our channel or follow us in our different platforms. Every time you interact with us, you help us reach as much people in the planet as possible. All our gratitude and a big hug from our heart. We will see you soon in the next Mindalia live streaming. Bye-bye.